Well, guys, I've had another situation come up here. I was in the process of trying to make a video on checking push rod length and that kind of thing, and the solution I'd come up with that, and I realized I was doing some checks on my crane cam here, and I realized that number 5 cylinder here, the exhaust lobe was not getting as much lift as it should be. So I went through and checked all the cam specs on every lobe after that, because I was kind of concerned there. So maybe I got the wrong camshaft, maybe something's funny. Most of the other ones are not as good as I hoped, but they're, within tolerances, we'll say. But number 5 here, the exhaust lobe is going to be, move this out of the way here, it's going to be the third lifter board in. So we got that 1, 2, 3, 4. This one here, that's the exhaust lobe. So going from, send that here just so you can see it. So got 1, 2, this one right here. This one here is should be measuring around 3.300303 lift just on the lobe. You multiply that by 1.5. That on the ratio of the rocker, you should have 454 lift. That's what is the advertised lift of this cam on the exhaust. The intake is advertised at 427, which means your intake lobe should be, actually that would be this one for that cylinder. The intake lobe should be 0.285. None of these were even really close to being the same, which again, I have run this cam for years in different configurations. Before it was turboed, I ran the same cam. So maybe it's just wear. That's fine, I get that. But this one here is way short. Now, the biggest problem, and this is why, like I said in one of my last videos, is measure everything and do not take anything for granted. And I'm kicking myself for not measuring this thing back many years ago, because I could say then, yes, it was the right specs at that time, or maybe I could have returned it if it wasn't. Who knows? But so I can't even say 100% that this thing has not been like that right from day one. Let's see if I can show you close up here. So it's this one right here. So there, you can see the wear on that one, but it's not abnormal in my opinion. You can see the kind of the wear pattern right there. And again, I don't know. It's just, maybe it's just worn down on the top. Doesn't look terrible, but somebody else, maybe you guys can see something out there I don't, but I'm not seeing anything that's out of the ordinary there. So again, I don't know if it was like that right from day one or not, but I'll show you the measurements here in a second. I just got to grab my caliper and we'll measure that up, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. All right, once again, we're going to see if we can do this with one hand. So we got our caliper here, and zero that just to make sure we're good. We're going to measure the third lobe, 1, 2, 3 from the back. Measure the base circle first. So we're going to try to square that up. And we got 1.252, 1.253 range. Remember that. I'm going to measure across the other way. Measure the top of the lobe. Again, try to get as square as possible. We got 1.5 even, pretty much, 1.502. Okay, we're going to do the math on that. So as you can see by the numbers there, obviously that's only quite easy math there. 0.25 lift. I measured it with a dial indicator with the lifter in the bore. I also measured it directly on the camshaft with the dial indicator, and we got around the same numbers, 0.255. 1, 2, definitely not up to the 0.303 that it should be based on the specs that that camera originally came with. So the other ones are, again, they're not as good as they should be. They're maybe, I don't know if it, again, just wear, if it's just the tolerances, but it's basically this with that exhaust lobe that way on the number 5 cylinder. And ironically, it's number 5 that I blew up on my 3.1. So I don't know why we're getting such bad luck on number 5 cylinder, but I'm not going to be using this crane cam on this engine, so now I got to figure out what I'm going to do, whether I go to a stock 3400 cam, whether I see if I can look for another old school style camshaft. I've been kind of considering one of the Comp Cams or Lonati or Crowder. They all seem to have listings for them, so I'm going to look at the specs and different things, see if I can maybe get my hands on one of those. Unfortunately, for a engine that's supposed to be a budget build, this is just another hit to the budget, because this was part of that budget part of it that I was going to be able to reuse this camshaft. So I got thinking after I made this video that maybe this is where all the metal was coming from that was on the oil drain plug when I did my oil change earlier this year. I guess we'll never know, but that definitely makes a little more sense now. Maybe it was a camshaft wear all along. Not a good day, unfortunately, but that's what happens with these things, and we'll figure out. We'll keep going at it and see what we're going to do. We'll let you guys know as soon as I figure that out. When we'll, guess we'll talk to you then. Thanks, guys. Have a good one. Bye-bye.